Look sharp, man.
Roger, how are you?
Nice to see you, buddy.
I'm a Slav of choice.
I said the same thing, Brett. I mean, coming out here and hanging out with you, man. I always got coats, ties on. I've got
Straight here.
Sperry topsiders, rubber shoes on, and well, I told George.
She's got a really unique voice.
Get away from it, get here, get behind this podium here. Yeah, exactly. How are you?
She too.
Fine, dear.
Could have said whatever you wanted.
So far, busy, which is, what it's supposed to be. Yeah.
She said names.
My car ran out of gas because I just went back to
Famous last words.
I had some guy give me a gas.
Nothing like being in your van.
My sister and I were on that road trip to Connecticut, and we made it to Texarkana, and then that's when I ran out of gas. I was like, we're making it out of Texas.
It just doesn't seem to be possible. So, big, like they're world.
We're called to order on June 24th at 6 p.m. We can start off with invocation and by LB, and we will do, I'll do the first, yes flag and the American flag. LB?
Why don't you please stand? Please bow your head and close your eyes. Oh, Heavenly Father, Lord, we come to you, thank you for everything that you're doing, Lord God. Lord, we thank you for these wonderful people, Lord, in the room today, Lord God, and for everything in your power. Order to this clean, Lord, we ask you to guide their minds in the right direction of having the city for here in the future, Lord God. Lord, we thank you for everything that you continue watching over each and every day, Lord God. And we thank you in Jesus' name, amen.
The American flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
honor
The Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
And we have Mike Buckley on the very far right end, your left, my right. Next to Mike, we have Rachel Hall. To her left is Chuck Thompson. Our awesome secretary is to his left, Alex Rios. To the left of me is our EDC director, Emilio Lario. To the left of him is our city council member and EDC member, Brent Waters. Heidi Souls is to the left of him, and then to the far left is LB. Public comments. Any person with EDC-related business may speak to the board in compliance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. The EDC board may not discuss or vote on any matter raised in public comments unless it is specifically on the agenda. Speakers may address the board after being recognized by the presiding officer. Are you ready to go?
No.
Any new business spotlights for number 3? Number 4, reports and comments from our board members. Let's start with, how about Mr. Buckley? Got anything, Mike?
I don't have anything.
Also, please, if y'all remember, Mike's green light's on, and bring the mics to you if you don't mind. You may have to pull that cord up out of that hole just a little bit to get it closer to you. Rachel Hall.
Yes, as far as upcoming events, to let the community know that our 4th of July celebration for the city is actually on July 3rd. We make plans to go see the fireworks and the band and the concession stands and everything that's happening that night to celebrate Independence Day at the high school on July 3rd.
Chuck?
No, not this time. Thank you.
Alice, you? What about Emilio? Yeah. Brent?
Yeah, just echoing what Ms. Hall said, yes, looking forward to the fireworks display on the 3rd. It's supposed to be a really, really nice event. We went all out. There is if there happens to rain that day, just to let everybody know, there is a makeup day that will go on if it's rained out on the 5th, if there's a rain out on the 3rd.
Heidi?
No comments at this time.
LB?
Yes. First, I would like to say thank you to everyone for the city of Cleveland. Thank you for giving me the amazing opportunity to be here and serve with the EDC. I will be announcing that I am resigning from my position. I was blessed with another great opportunity. I hate to leave the EDC. I really do. I thought long and hard about it. But I know this board of people will do an amazing job for the city. They have done a great job. I'm proud to serve with every one of them. And I ask that you continue to do great things. Because I know me sitting in my seat, not many thought, oh, what is he doing? But you know what? Hey, I came, I conquered. I learned so much from everyone here. I thank y'all for all you've done. I know Ms. Pam is not here, but thank her for always, I'll get on her nerves about the reports and get on. But Ms. Tiffany, thank you for filling in. I appreciate it. Thank you, Ms. Daniel. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Ms. Juanita. Thank you to our librarian, our historical people, Roger. Thank you all. It's been amazing. And I'll still be around beating Robert over the head. But again, thank you very much. It's been awesome.
I got his letter, a week or two ago, and spoke to him, and even called him again this morning to make sure that this is what he's going to do. But we look forward to seeing what's next in line for him. We also got you a plaque, an appreciation plaque that says in sincere appreciation of your dedication and for your service to the Economic Development Corporation on 324. Okay, I think that's about it. We just, again, I'd like to just thank all of our public service. Roger does an awesome job, continues doing an awesome job. Robert, Cody, they all just, I can't say enough about them. They do great. The airport is probably in better shape than it's been in I don't know how many years, to be honest. And we definitely appreciate that, for sure. And we're going to miss LB. Other than that, thank you, LB. I know he's gone. Appreciate it. Anything else on comments? Director's report, number 5.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't know if everyone has the resources that we printed out earlier today, but I'm going off some of the slides that you should have for tonight's presentation. But I wanted to cover a few things, some projects, some updates on those things. Starting with the skate park, looking to commence construction as early as this Thursday, hopefully, weather permitting. Lighting was installed today, so the lighting has been installed and that is complete. Keep in mind the progress on the skate park improvements will depend on the cooperation with the weather, so hopefully Mother Nature will be generous. The pavilion lighting improvements, there's some supply chain issues with Entergy's inventory, so we're waiting on those acorn decorative lighting fixtures and posts to be installed at a later date, depending on when those supplies are available. Also, this was a request from a board member about some resources that board members can reference on the roles and responsibilities of board directors. So in that you have the adopted EDC board bylaws, which in conversation with the chairman, with the president, that we'll be looking at that at a later date and updating those bylaws because they are the original bylaws adopted when the corporation was incorporated. Also is the presentation from Olson & Olson from Mary Ann, our previous city attorney, that she provided back in February. We'll look at doing something similar whenever we have a new board member to replace Mr. Baldwin. And then also frequently asked questions from Texas Municipal League, from the TML Legal Council. Some more interesting liner notes. You'll see some images from the Belcher Street apartments. That demolition is complete, and I know that EDC and the Zone Board of Adjustments and City Council had some touch points on that. I want to thank Danielle Lewis for all of her efforts and work on that as well to see that complete. And then lastly, on a light note, the mural at the Historic Museum, that property is coming along nicely. It's looking good. I just went out and snapped this photo and talked with the artist out there. She hopefully, weather cooperating again, should be finished with this maybe on Friday. So to be determined on that, but it's looking great. And concludes it for me, so.
Sorry about that. Does anybody have any questions for our EDC director?
Just a quick one. I know it's all about weather permitting, but excuse me, the skate park, do they have like a end date or a date when it'll be open?
I'll let Roger touch on that, but I think once they begin, it should be a fairly quick process, maybe less than a month.
So, I'm just curious. I know weather's been terrible. I've been dealing with it personally, so I know.
When we moved to a
education service with that as well, understanding education. Look at possibly, again, depending on weather and everything else, possibly doing like a final bundle for our next EDC program. Those are very what we're going to have.
And financially, we're good on that as of now, I'm assuming still? Yep. How you're saying this? Any other questions for our EDC director?
Community development.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. Community development director. Actually, right now it's EDC director. Yeah, thanks. Nothing else? 6, consideration of possible action on meeting minutes from May 28th, 2024, and the monthly financial statement. Everybody look at it.
Make a motion, we approve the consent agenda items number 6 and 7.
I have a motion by Brent McWaters and a second by Mike Buckley to approve the consent agenda number 6 and 7. Any other discussion on it? No? All in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Discussion and possible consideration on the following. Number 8, wayfinding signage master plan advisory committee appointments. That one, I think Emilio and Danielle took them around the city the other day. I'll let him catch you up on that.
Yeah, so if you'll recall, EDC's funding of the wayfinding and signage master plan with their consultant group, M2L and Associates out of Houston. We did, Danielle and I did have them here for kind of their exploratory initial analysis kind of trip, and touched on some areas of interest and points across the city that we want to highlight via signage and make sure that signage is visible and accessible to the public throughout the process. They're going to map some of that data. They're going to get it down into a format. Then we'll review that with an advisory committee that we hope to establish with this agenda item. That it would consist of the EDC as y'all are kind of the fiduciaries of the project, and then hopefully some other community voices like the chamber and the school district, businesses, things like that. We have at least 1 or 2 at most meetings, look at different options to recommend to EDC, and then that would get synthesized down to EDC. M2L would come and do a presentation. Y'all would consider that and then have a recommendation for council, and they would present those findings to council. So we're looking for 2 EDC board members to serve. Again, 1 or 2 meetings during the day, because that's when our consultants will be visiting. And so you want to decide with yourselves.
I don't mind offering myself up for that.
I think the main thing is this, is they are going to be during the day. I don't mind doing it.
I was going to say, the retired guy can do it, so yeah.
I wasn't gonna say that, Chuck.
Well, we've been asking him to do some other things too, taking advantage of his retiredness.
No, more than have to do.
That's fine, that'll work for me. Don't mind one bit. Is everybody good with that, Mike? Good? Good. So we will.
I think so. It is under considering action items.
Oh yeah, we actually do need to take a vote on it. I apologize for that. So I need a motion for Heidi and Chuck to be.
I'll make a motion.
A motion by Mike. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Brent for Heidi Souls and Chuck Thompson to be members to serve on the wayfinding signage and master plan advisory committee. All in favor? None opposed? Motion carries. You can vote for yourself, it's okay, we don't mind.
Sorry.
You're the retired guy, you can do whatever you want. Come on, Chuck.
I thought that might have been a conflict of interest voting for myself.
I counted it as you voted
No,
for yourself.
you think it.
You didn't have to raise your hand, so I saw her write it down.
That's it.
Number 9, budget workshop. I'll just, that can be all, Emilio will go over all the preliminary budget for us.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Mr. President. So the slides is really going to highlight some of the things that we highlighted and discussed that wanted to see some changes or some increases or decreases from the last meeting. There really wasn't too much looking back on my notes, so I just wanted to highlight those. I did want to point out, we did print out a fresh budget sheet for y'all. The holiday decor line item was added, but the amount was not summed up properly, so that in the latest and greatest on the dais here, that number should reflect now and it should be included in the totals. But starting off with supplies and other expenditures, looking at the office and operating supplies, it's just something we combined. So 0% net increase from that from the current fiscal year, and it's just combined line items for these in future budgeting years. But there was mention of holiday decorations and kind of festive decor to have. So I know it was in reference to Christmas, but we wanted to keep it generic in case there were residual funds that we can use for decorating across the city at other times of the year. So that is at 50,000 in new expenditures. That number could be enough. It could be not enough. We don't know. This is going to be our baseline kind of allocation, and then we will assess the needs next fiscal year to see if we need to increase that or not. But that is something that was discussed, and so we wanted to reflect in the proposed budget. Moving on to projects and infrastructure, I know that it was discussed about the quote that we had received for covers, funny covers, T covers at the airport. I think there's been some discussions or some philosophies on whether T covers make sense or doing full-on hangers make sense, or even just other funding opportunities. But that amount, if it stays with EDC, we feel like in order to actually do full hangers, we probably need to increase to $750,000. But that could be a discussion as well.
Just on that real quick, I think that Brett and I talked about this already. I think we want to take that off our budget for now and look at some other, just an opinion, as always. Look at some other resources for the airport. Where we maybe be able to free that money up to be able to use for EDC on other. We just want to look at some other resources, maybe some loans, some low interest loans, some grants. We talked about this considerably recently, and and then if we do decide to do it later on, we take it off now. And if we do decide to do it later on, we can do a budget amendment and do it then at any time. But if we can leave that free, I know it's going to get paid back by the airport and everything. I know that's going to be a question, but if we can leave that freed up for EDC to use on other projects, and we do a loan and leave a low interest loan, then possibly available to us. My thought is maybe we should leave that money with EDC and check on a low interest loan that might be available to us.
Yeah, and I echo that, because when you look through our budget here, I think, we kind of got brought up in the past, we're playing a little bit of catch up. But when you look at just putting that amount and what it would pull from our reserve, and you look at the way our budget's constructed, we've got a lot of money in here for different studies, and we have industrial recruitment coming in, we've got retail recruitment coming in, we've got, we've got this feasibility study for Stansel Park. I mean, we don't know what these type of studies and information coming back are going to yield. So I think just automatically just earmarking that big a dollar amount when I think there may be some other ways we could go to get some funding. We may not want to allocate all that on at this time for the airport.
And I know that might not be the,
Doesn't mean we're not doing it later.
No,
I mean,
doesn't mean we're not doing it.
I think we don't know enough yet.
and it might not be the popular answer right this second, but if we could leave that money freed up for now for EDC. And we've also spoken to Scott about it, that if there is something available, which we got some stuff that we are looking at, to see if there's something else available for, that way we can just leave this money for EDC. And there's other grants and stuff that we're looking at doing for, different things within our city. And you'll see in a minute, we've increased the facade grant, got other business grants, other business opportunities. We might want to use some money for it. And I do know that it's not going to be the popular thing to say for the airport right this second, but I think that we just need to be a little patient with that and hold off on it for now until we do a little more research and see if there's other funds available to us for the airport. I know we need hangars. I know more than anyone, I promise. But it'll happen. We just need to be a little patient with it, I think. Just my opinion. Any thoughts? Mike?
What we were talking about last week, the one thing I thought about after we had done the meeting was, y'all were talking about doing 3 hangars at a time. And the cost, what it would do for that, pretty high. Is there a benefit to doing 1 hangar at a time instead of doing, 1 row hanger instead of doing three rows at one time? I know it may get a little break on price doing multiple at the same time, but when it comes to the cost, it may be more feasible to do 1, wait a year or 2, do the second one, and so on. I didn't know if that was an option or if you got a
Well, no, that's actually where we went. We kind of gave up as far as I don't want to say the airport board, I don't want to quite say that, but as far as the city and the airport, and kind of put it off on the back burner doing 3 sets. Because it's just cost-wise, it's cost prohibitive right now. So yes, that's what we went to, is doing just 1 set at a time. Get that paid down in a few years, then possibly do another set. So yeah, you're 100% right on. That's exactly where we're going with it. Just after the consideration of it, it's not that we, and I'm trying to tread a little lightly because I know it's not going to be a popular situation for the airport, but we are limited. Brent says we're having to play catch up, and we're really having to play catch up in a lot of ways as far as EDC is concerned. And $750,000 is a pretty good chunk of change. Even though I know that we have 2 point whatever sitting there, but we do have a lot of other things also. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't do it. I'm not saying that. Everybody has an opinion on this board, of course. But I do believe that we do have some other avenues that we should look at, research a little bit more, and just be a little bit patient with it, is my opinion. And Brent is obviously totally in agreement with it also.
How much is it for 1 set of hangers?
You're going to, so it's going to be in that neighborhood of 700,000.
All right. Because one of the things I had too, and I know it's not popular amongst a lot of people, but we have some infrastructure issues as far as going with water and sewer that I think probably need to be addressed before certain things get done too. I know we're not making money off of that, but at the end of the day, it's the community. That's what needs to be, really needs to be addressed the most, I think. I deal with it, I see it. I can drive down my street and you can, probably 3 times a month, if not, maybe a little bit less, there's a main water leak constantly. 2 or 3 different spots are the same spot that just keeps going and going. I'm not the only spot, there's multiple places around the town that had that issue. I know the city's limited on what they can do. So to me, I think there's some stuff that we need to do in that area too. I know the lady, the word came in and talked before, there's programs that we can do to help fund that. So that's something that I would like to maybe bring up at a later date to see what we can do to kind of help out there.
Absolutely. And I think that if we take out $750,000, I mean, obviously that's going to drop our numbers down to, where we are now, 2.8. It's going to be right around 2.8 or so in this gun. But it doesn't matter. 750 is a chunk of change out. It's a chunk of change out. And
Yeah, the way it's currently written right now, we're pulling 1.2 million out of our fund balance to fund this budget. So if we take 750 back out, we're only pulling, we're basically pulling, 4 out of reserves.
So,
To fund this budget.
And I understand as well as anybody that grow the airport, you grow a city, the airport, I understand how important it is to all municipalities, not just the city of Cleveland, but all I'm suggesting is that we just be a little patient with this and take it off the budget for now. We can do a budget amendment later. And let us look at some other avenues first. You good with that, Rachel? You okay with that?
Yes, as far as, I think echoing what I think Brent said, there's a lot of projects going on. Could we actually complete them in one fiscal year versus, I believe Emilio mentioned something about actually having a master plan set in place. And I feel like some of these things are being line item with large numbers, and we don't even have that official master plan for EDC, and I would like to see that also before making decisions with money like that. Or even the holiday decorations, 50,000 seems pretty high on that also. We have decorated in the past, so I'm curious what last year we spent on decorations, because the city has decorated in the past with lights or wreaths or something on the building. So I think that's the baseline price. But yes, as far as removing it, I am in agreement with not using the whole fund balance and waiting for other projects that might arise, or going through the plan process and getting more feedback from the community also.
You good?
Yeah, no, I'm good. This is, one of the areas that is producing revenue. And as a result of that, it gives us other avenues or other options for funding. So yeah, I think table it for now. Like I said, we can always add it back in should we need to, but I think since it's a revenue producing entity, it's going to give us some good options. Yeah.
Heidi?
Okay, so when it's produced at the July meeting, the recommended budget for y'all's consideration directly to the council, we won't have anything for airport infrastructure, so that will be reflected in the updated budget. Moving on, looking at Stansel Park improvements, the first budget workshop, that figure was $25,000. We got some estimates from some consultants that do this kind of work and analysis and quantity work, without detailing the scope of that. On the high end, it could be upwards. It could be around $70,000. So we recommend allocating that much, and realizing that it's probably going to be less than that once we actually define the scope a little better. And that is again for the Stansel Park.
And this is a workshop, so if y'all have any questions,
I was fixing to ask a question.
yeah, make sure you ask questions now.
Is that going to be with the, kind of like the layout, or with the Stansel Park? People presented, was it 2 or 3 meetings, what about 3 meetings ago?
Well, it'll allow us to initiate a process where we work with the Livestock Association throughout the process to identify what their needs are, and if the facility, how it underperforms and where it could be improved, and what new facilities would look like, and allow them to do programming-wise, and what it would allow the city to do programming-wise, and then we'll put that forth in a series of options. both implementation-wise and cost-wise. So,
And with that, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I really think that number's low to build the structures that they were.
well, so,
Yeah, there's no building in there.
Okay,
That's
that's
just
just
study.
a
feasibility,
study.
yes.
Okay, that's what I wanted to clarify, it's just a study on.
Yes,
And,
sir.
and with this study, Emilio, will that also, I mean, as we think about this full term, will there be estimates in there? And I know they're estimates, but estimates with how this could grow to a bigger revenue generator?
Yeah, I mean, they would identify what, improvements were made, and how that could generate more use and traffic and demand from that facility. And I get some revenue projections, but it is gonna have costs with some inflators and stuff like that, knowing that we're gonna have to put it in some type of CIP or, bring it to EDC.
I do have one other question. It relates to the park. The scout hut, that's where the troop, they meet in that park. Is it gonna affect them in any
Well,
way?
Not the study.
Well, I mean, once they do the
full, we can include them, any groups like that you rely on that facility, we would include them.
Yeah, 'cause they've been there forever, so I just want to make sure that they were, in that study, they were included to be able to stay in the facility.
So that's the scout, what is?
Boy Scouts.
Boy Scouts. Boy Scouts.
Scout troop.
Troop 95.
Okay, we'll note that.
Of course, we're going to be looking at the feasibility, so, I mean, ultimately, that may be a recommendation to move that to the location because of feasibility, but that's all part of it, and see what their needs are and everything else, but, that's what they're going to do, they're going to look at that whole park, and even part of the cemetery, even some of the other land, to see what's the best use and how we can best utilize that facility in the current structures, or not use the current structures, depending on the conditions or so on out there.
Are they going to include the property that the livestock on right behind it?
Yes, I would do it. And then some of the cemetery properties, they can look at that, so.
The cemetery property, that's kind of.
Well, we went to that.
Ain't that all sold too? That's pretty much all sold out over there, isn't it?
There's still some room over there, but yeah, that's,
Yeah,
that may be something that you don't look at, but that may need to grow.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, then that may reduce some of the square footage over there for the fairground, which means we may need to move some of that, shift some of that stuff over towards the livestock, their property. That's what we need to come in and study all the options. Even maybe look at other city property and see if there's even a better location for it.
Yeah, I just only got what, like 5 acres right behind the more 10 acres right behind the park itself. So, they can utilize that and all that. That'll be a pretty good site facility.
And also, he's only going through the changes in this budget. So if there's any other questions on stuff that we don't, that has not changed, this is the time to ask about them for sure.
Okay.
Scott hit on it. What I was gonna say is I would imagine this study is gonna take into account not only the property right there, but other city-owned property to see, again, how can we best use what our resources are to make this a true destination.
I think the last thing on infrastructure before we get to some incentives is fencing improvements. Specific at the library, I think that was brought up at last month's meeting. So got some initial estimates on what those improvements might cost, and it's in the range from $3,000 to $25,000. Of course, we would go through a more formal bidding process to see if we can get that to be more competitive. But that's what some of the early estimates are looking like. If you look at the next slide, you can kind of see the area that the exhibit that informs some of those estimates and what the improvements would look like. But this would allow the library to secure property and have controlled access outside, and that open it up to some additional programming opportunities that they don't have right now. And they're very limited on the indoor space that they do have. And then Mary's here if you want to get into any of those things and how this would help support their mission out there. But it was something that was brought up, so we did do our not proposed in a line item yet. We would, I guess, look for some discussion and feedback and consensus on whether we want to include that for next month's proposed budget.
Do we have Mary or whoever, do we have a price on that fencing yet for the library?
Yeah, well, it's in the range of 20 to 25,000.
We don't have anything. Have we got bids?
Yeah, we have some early ones, and there's a couple options on the some of the longer links and materials and things like that. So we do have some quotes already.
So those are, this isn't gonna be a deal that's 20, 25 minutes, it'll be 50 or 60 is what my question's gonna be, Roger. He's shaking his head no, so we are very good at 20 to 25 grand, is that correct?
Well, I think the library is a great asset for the city. I think we ought to get this put on the budget.
I agree with that. I have a question, Mary, and I agree with the fencing. If this increases your outdoor activities and programming for the kids, do y'all need any type of shaded covering also included in this infrastructure line item? Because I know that's something that comes up often with the schools, is they talk about the kids are outside and like too hot, like having some sort of canvas type covering, or is that just not needed?
Eventually, the overall large scheme of the thing is what our plan that we have at the library is on the back part where.
Hey Mary, if you don't mind, would you come up here for me, please? I apologize, but.
Sorry. We work with several entities. Or we partner with several entities. We have the Texas AgriLife that would like to come in and put in gardens. And to answer your question, our master's idea or plan that we have, that is the area, the main part of it is the area that we have movies. That is also where we've had programming during the summer. It is hot, there is very little shade. We would like to have an early learning area where there's outdoor musical instruments. There will be areas that will have the overhead shaded areas, park benches, places for the kids to sit, parents to sit, and it would have a controlled access that you can only access that area if you exit the library. You would not be able to enter from the street, but I wanted a gate that was wide enough in the back parking lot area so Public Works could be able to get their lawnmowers through. But working with the AgriLife with several of the facilities, there would be grant opportunities that we could also obtain to purchase the musical instruments and stuff like that. That would be great, but until we do that, we need the fence. So we figured instead of putting the cart before the horse, we'll start with phase one and just keep increasing.
Okay, thank you.
If we wanted to do that now, could that go back under one of our other projects? Or would we have to do a public hearing on that? Can we get that?
Well, you're gonna have a public hearing next month, so if you wanted to add it to this library project and make it one of the projects, you can still do that. I mean, the public hearing for your project is next month, so.
I don't see why we don't add a little bit more money to that.
I agree, and to add it to next month. Let's go ahead and get it approved before next budget.
I think it was cover shade area.
To be honest with you, I don't know what size I would need. I haven't measured it, but can I?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Sorry. It would be nice where the old Chamber of Commerce was, that was library building number 2 was here. It would be nice to have some shading and covering here. Perhaps later down the road, another shading or covering here. This is where there will be, we would like to have the garden and the trees and stuff. And then up there would be the double gate. There was a sidewalk that is here, but it would be nice to have a single locked gate that would, if we needed to in an emergency, get out, thank you, egress. But this area is where we do the outdoor movies, and people sit outside, and we have normally here, because of the electrical access, that's where we have our blow-up projector.
You do that during the daytime?
We can only do it at night. This part of it at night. We just had a Princess and Pirate program here outside. It was so hot with the program, the kids, before noon, they were finished with everything. We started at 11:30. Program that was scheduled to last an hour to 30 minutes or less. It took us longer to get everything outside and back inside than the program lasted.
Just out of curiosity, how many kids do you have that come to these functions?
It depends on what time of year. During the summer, we can have anywhere from 20 to 30 kids to 300. We've had 500 in the past. I will say that during COVID, numbers were less, but as we're promoting more and people are getting out more, the economy is struggling, we're getting more people in. So we had a rhythm sticks and shaker program this morning where the little kids are in there doing their sticks and shaking their rice eggs. We normally, during the school year, have 6 or 8 kids. We had 30 kids.
Roger, have you've been out there, right? Can you give me a guesstimate on those 2 covers that she's talking about? Give me a guesstimate on
What kind of companies are you, let's ask a question. I mean, just out of curiosity, to me, it would make more sense to cover that back area back there, correct? There's that whole side, this whole side? This that side up there. Because there's one in the corner, but then you have the outside projection. They got stuff going outside out there. If it's too hot to do anything out there, I don't know, maybe you could put some solid structures on each side and that canvas top in the middle, so that way you got the shade.
I see what I'm saying, put some poles on top of my head and have it start with, tie it off.
Built out out there, and you got your 2, I guess, solid structures on each side.
would you rather have?
I don't know construction, so.
Yeah, but I just look, I mean, if you
Look at the building downtown, that was, finished, it was about 55,000.
Yeah, but then it'll be.
now we just need the basic.
Yeah, we just need basic covers up there.
Before we did all the stuff on it.
25,000.
You look at probably what, 50,000 for each one, for both of them to get together, to get 2 of them, and then a canvas on it. That size up there, that new pavilion that's over there by the
Let me see.
Where the old
Walgreens.
fire department?
Yes, ma'am, but that size,
That was 25,000.
Yeah.
For all of
is 25, so you're looking at 50.
Let's see this, what about this, Mary? Did you see this? That's what we were talking about earlier.
I think that would be neat. Yes.
Can you show that, Roger? Can we see all that, if you don't mind? Because that's gonna save a lot, and then maybe with what Mike's talking about, maybe we could do, that whole area. I think Mike's right. I think that if we only do the 2 sides and you have the stuff in the middle, you're gonna get a lot more out of it, just cover the whole area, and if you do it like this, did you see that, Mike?
Yeah, I've seen those, yeah.
Those are usually on the bike board.
Yeah.
I could talk to, what's his name, Cunningham, might have, something like that, he's Bible with stuff.
So we have to bid it out. It's already
Go ahead.
I know it would be
You got
more.
all 3 of those then? You could do.
Yeah, you can do 3. I think the whole point,
Go
though,
along this whole,
yes,
3 different setups.
I think the point, though, is, I feel like everybody's on board with doing this. Is that correct? Real quick, Heidi, Brent, Rachel, Mike. Okay, so what do y'all think about, let's go ahead and get the prices on that. Let's get it on with the next agenda for the public hearing. Yeah, fencing and covers. Y'all good with that? Rachel? Yep. Chuck?
Question, I know it would be more expensive, but I'm wondering in the long run, would it be better if we had not a permanent structure, but somewhat of a lean-to with some metal roof over it?
Well,
Mayor, you were talking about an amphitheater type facility, right? Having that out there, like a semi-stage thing.
tell you what, to make this easy, is there a way between now and next month? Let's get this on the agenda
Yes.
for next month, and let's get what we want done and all the numbers. We're not postponing and kicking this down the road for 6 months.
We will have.
Well,
it.
So-
one comment I want to make, being that we're gonna do the fencing, at the corner of the building, if you just put a post, put 3 posts along that side there, and then posts on the back side, and then 3 posts on that side, and just do a canopy roof across the top, and you can leave it all grass, and then it's covered. I guarantee it's probably a lot cheaper than trying to do pavilion. And then, you know, it may be a little more expensive than buying 3 of those, but you got a solid structure, and you got that whole back, that whole section of that area covered. And they can do whatever they want to do outside during the daytime. It may be cheaper because you just use a post at that time, plus you have to use metal posts.
And would that be a solid type roof?
Solid, to do a
It's
solid
solid.
roof.
We probably want to think about if we do that, and that's fine, I think that's a good idea, but we just,
It's
but we probably need to think all the way through this, that we probably do need to, the turf's probably not going to survive.
Yeah,
It's
so
not
you
gonna
put,
do. So we need to think about what kind of ground.
do like an astroturf. so
We could do a synthetic turf,
Yeah.
and that way it looks, there's no maintenance, and it would be, I mean,
That'll-
that's a whole nother dollar amount if that's the way you're going. It's
It's
expensive. But again, we don't want it to get down to where it's just dirt and it's getting tracked into the library. I'm sure Mary would appreciate that, so we gotta think this all the way.
Well, actually, I think Roger and Mary need to kind of think this all the way through and tell us.
Well, like she said, she does movies out there, has a big screen, so you can't cover the whole thing, you don't need to.
Well, the big screen would fit under this part right here. This overhang, our screen will fit under that.
It's one of the big blow up.
Yes.
Yeah.
How often do y'all do movies over there?
During the summer, well, we do more after the time change because it gets darker earlier. Right now, during the summer, we try not to do too many movies because that means we're working from 9 to 11. But normally, the end of October, first part of November, we start having movies at least once a month. But we
Movies once a month, starting in October.
yes, and then during the summer, like it's,
And everybody's invited?
oh yeah,
Do
they
you
bring
charge
their
for
lawn, no, we provide popcorn, they bring their own drinks, they bring their lawn chair.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. That's so cool.
See, I've never done any of this. Something
I didn't know any of this
Yeah,
either.
we need to start really pushing because that is a great community. And I had no idea that y'all were doing that over there.
Oh, you'd be surprised what I'll.
I've lived here 45 years. That says a lot. I mean, I feel dumb, but, you know, just that information, there's a lot of people out there that really don't know that's available to them.
See, this is where we need to be concentrating so moving forward, Mary and Roger, I guess it's Roger is Roger handling this stuff? Yeah. If we can have the numbers together on this, don't be hiding over there, Roger. I see you. I see you. It'll probably be Roger, really, but.
The kind of infrastructure issues I gotta worry about.
So can we get this done? Let's get it done where we get it approved. Next board meeting, we can get the public hearing and approved all at the same time. Where we get started on it right away. Emilio, obviously, will be glad to help y'all with this. Everybody good with that?
Yeah.
Get it done and approved all at the same time.
And thank you.
Y'all good?
And
Thank you for what y'all doing out there. Like I said, I never knew that was going on. I knew you had summer programs, but I didn't know that y'all were doing all that all year long, so.
well, we do tutoring, we have languages, Name it.
And that will have to be a budget amendment for that, because what I'm, now, just to be on the same page, what I'm talking about is getting this, everything, all of it done immediately, not on next budget.
I'd like to get it done.
Okay,
All in there.
okay, just want to make sure we're all on the same page, 100%.
And I was just gonna make a comment, Mayor, y'all are doing great things, you have been for years and years, but also, they are very active on their social media, and they do push all this out on their social media page if you don't follow it. So a lot of families take advantage of it. I hear positive things everywhere I go about the program, so congratulations and thank you.
Can we get a link tag onto our website?
That's what I was just fixing to ask.
Be shared.
We can, get that on our, have we got an EDC Facebook page yet? So we still need an EDC Facebook page too, but yeah, if we get tagged on that on what you're gonna put on there, to where we can, of course, he's already made notes, so we'll get that somewhere we can.
Yeah, immediately I'll just put hashtag EDC Facebook page.
Well, I can send you the weekly update, just like, programs, just like to Amelia, just like I do with Scott.
Yep,
That
you
you
can
all
send that
will.
to Emilio, we appreciate that, he would appreciate it. Thank you, Mary, very much.
You're welcome, thank you.
I know we've been talking about the fence thing a little too long, so I'm glad we're going to get that done and more.
Okay, we'll bring that to y'all, kind of fully fleshed out next month. With the budget looking at, kind of wrapping up here, last thing on incentives, the initial workshop, that amount, we're proposing to increase the allocation for croissants from its current allocation, 200,000. We're coming back at 150,000. Kind of just thinking about how we want to retool the program and overhaul it. That might, the 100,000 might only allow for literally a couple of projects to be done when the program is reimagined and overhauled. So looking to increase that to allow for a couple more projects. So that's where we were with that. That is in the program.
And then we're going to do, what's the other business grants thing?
Well, there was still this facade allocation, but looking at creating it, reformatting it into a business improvement grant. So that would allow you to do facades, that would leverage these dollars to, let you do other improvements that are going to extend the useful life of the building.
So we're looking at going from, all we're doing is going from 100 to 150, but we're including, we're basically packaging the grants all together.
No, there's still incentives that is at 100,000, and that can be determined how we'll utilize those funds at a later date if we want to contemplate other programs.
So the business incentives fund is that, what I'm wanting to show, is that enough?
That's a separate.
Right, is 100 grand enough for them?
But what are we offering in the incentives? In the incentives package?
Well, that's something that we want to work on creating, so that there's streams and kind of a strategy behind that. So this is just the allocation of 100,000 for that, for incentives, and we can come back and present, here's a program of how to consider those requests, or to consider utilizing those funds in the future.
So this we might end up being later in the date, so it's reasonable to increase that line item.
Well, I think, we've kind of talked about this a little bit in the past, but I mean, some of that incentive is just TBD, because we don't know what the ask is going to be. You look up at the Busy Bee water line, you can kind of look at that as an incentive type deal, but we've done, this past budget year. But so I agree, we need to have the flexibility as this gets defined to move the needle.
Well, but if we're gonna, I agree with both of y'all, with Mike and Brent. But what I'm thinking is instead of doing an amendment, if we're going to obviously render business incentives and facades, and we need to establish what our new business incentives are going to be, would we want to increase that? We don't use it, it's still there. But trying to get it amended later is going to be a job.
You go with the high number, and again, we don't use it, we've got it. But yeah, I don't know what kind of hassle it would be to amend it after the fact.
I believe without paving, and it's not maybe into that, it's just, it'd be, placing it on the agenda here, for a budget amendment, and then having council approve that. Maybe doing a hearing.
And if you're doing a project, like that here.
Well, I don't know, this is under incentives, is that?
So what,
But I would think that if something came up as an ask, as an incentive, it's an ask,
Right.
that would by definition fall under something we would have to have a hearing on.
Correct.
So therefore, in and of itself, that would go in as its own request, whether it's $10,000 or $150,000. You'd have the public hearing and that amendment at that time.
what we're talking about is the budget incentive for $100,000 that we'll be doing. Do we want to increase that? I know we have to come up with what our budget incentives or our business incentives are going to be. But do we want to increase that now? We just took $750,000 off of it. Okay, so do we want to increase that business incentives now instead of trying to increase it in the middle of next year?
If you guys this as a business incentive, and if something comes in, and it's less than that dollar amount, then you can pretty much approve it, go to council.
Okay, what if we go through that money, how hard is it to get more money in?
Then you just need to, if something comes available, or if it's more than what you have, so if you have $200,000, a $250,000 project comes in, then you have to go through the process, which have a public hearing.
Right.
Have that budget, y'all approve a budget amendment request, take it to council, demand it, create that. Now you have to, when you do that, you have to wait 60 days before you can spend that money.
Well, yeah, so
But-
realistically,
but
it's
if
4
a big
months.
project, it's
But
gonna take
you
more
know
than
what
60
You're
days.
down, yeah, it's gonna be 4 months.
Right.
So why don't we increase that 100,000 for the budget to begin with? Then if we don't use it, it's still there.
Well, just to keep this in mind, and I agree with that, but we did take 750 out, but we've already added back in at least 100. We've added back in 50,000 for the library, we added 50,000.
Well, that's gonna come out this year, that's not gonna be on that one.
Okay,
The library won't be on next year's budget. We're gonna spend it this year.
all right, but we do have the one ad that didn't get put in this, the holiday decorations aren't listed in this, so I just think that, I mean, we're putting in between facade and incentives, we're putting in $250,000, where last year we spent 12,000. So I mean, we've upped it a lot with no real definition yet, and so maybe do we bump that to 150 each? That gives us 300 grand. I mean, we're putting a lot of money in that category, and we haven't defined a lot of that yet.
Well, we definitely need to
My-
find
my-
it.
My issue is not having a definite
Yeah.
set purpose.
I mean, even on the-
And stuff on what we're gonna be doing and what we're
I agree.
considering as incentives.
I mean, even the 150,000 for the facades, I agree that number probably needs to be that, but I think, we're gonna need to go in and define, we're not doing $150,000 worth of facades at $5,000 a time.
No, we're gonna, well, the whole facade grant is gonna be rewritten.
Yeah.
We gotta rewrite that entire facade grant.
And so we gotta really have that with some teeth, and I think that's everybody's wish here that I've heard from, because that would really make a difference in how different areas of the city look. When you put some real skin in that.
Well, just doing the holiday lights is $14,000 each year.
Well,
14.
And to
Holiday lights, we spent $14,000 last year, before that, so that was only putting lights on the building.
Oh, no, I know, that's
You start
not,
putting.
it's not doing the murals on the windows, that's not doing.
And I'll say, I mean,
Stuff
If you're gonna do like the big Christmas decorations.
very
you see,
expensive.
Those $50,000 ain't gonna get you one.
It's not much.
That's something expensive.
Yeah, we priced some of those bigger, yeah, you remember we priced some of those bigger ornaments a couple of years ago, and I was shocked once you go commercial how much these decorations are.
The ornaments that we had out here are very expensive.
Very
And
expensive.
they're small.
Rachel?
We did have the tree up, I know that goes up every year, and I think some wreaths and things on the main street, but one way to spend less there is to encourage the businesses downtown to decorate. That's been something that's common in other communities too, where they do their own decorating and there's some sort of business incentive to the winner versus the district, I'm sorry, not the district, the city paying the cost of all of the decorations is to get other people involved, whether it's residents in their yard and you have somebody going around giving out signs like best yard of the month or businesses. So again, if it was 14,000, I would stick maybe a little bit lower and do what we've done, maybe increase it to 20 or 25 and then encourage businesses to participate.
When you have the 50.
And I think if we're talking decorations, if we don't have, I know that number seems high, but I think if you're spending less than that, you'll never notice it around town. I mean, that's my opinion, because it just, you can eat that up really quick. And I think there are some things we can do. We talked a little bit about it and kind of rethinking how murals, there's Heidi had the idea actually of maybe getting somebody that is sponsored by the EDC that goes around and actually does a whole community through downtown, holiday theme on with window paintings and different decorations like that. So talked about
Yeah. I like the mural window painting idea because it does help keep costs lower. Like we're discussing, once you start buying decorations and stuff, it gets very expensive and it doesn't stretch the spot.
I guess what I would be offer is on the decor is if you make this an annual allocation, then maybe it just allows us to build and expand upon it every year. If we're not leasing things, we're buying things, we can start small, but over time build up an arsenal of Christmas decor. Of course, we're gonna have some restored, hopefully Roger has storage, but that's a philosophy that we consider as well.
Scott has a big office.
So I didn't, was there a consensus on regular incentives? Or is there an issue with facades as?
Well, no, I think that, everybody's 100% correct. We need to get an established protocol for what incentives we're offering and to whom. And our facade grants, obviously, we need to, I think everybody's probably okay on 150. We just need to, redo the program for it too.
And just for clarity, Scott, let's say, into this year, we're approached and we have an opportunity to bring a business in and they're asking for X. Say that dollar amount is $100,000. So would we need that money at that time budgeted in as incentive, or could we go in as a public hearing and budget amendment at that time for that specific project?
If you've got the money available, then you can do that. If not, you have to go through, it's not that long. Y'all take care of it, y'all make the recommendation, have the public hearing, it goes to the council the next month, they approve it, and then the money's available.
It's 4 months though.
But I will tell you this.
It's 4 months though.
I know
Any
it's
which way you
4
look at it, it's gonna be 4 months minimum.
Right.
From the time we wanna start, that's the problem here, is everything we do is a year down the road.
Well, the good news is with what we're talking about, like even with the Busy Bee stuff or some of the stuff that we've had with BNSF or some of these larger scale projects that I'm talking to that may be a
Yeah, those do.
difference. You're gonna know well before, so we're not gonna talk, this isn't gonna be anything small that
Correct.
You got
Yeah.
6, 8, 10 months probably to
Yes.
really put that
And
into
you're right,
effect
those
Well,
situations.
typically these businesses come to you
before they even do it.
Right, so they need that incentive before they start.
Yeah. You're not gonna spend the money before you start, it's a commitment.
Right.
But yeah, so that would kind of be outside the realm, I would think, of, not necessarily outside the realm. We're talking, I think, two different things, because there's
Yes.
smaller incentives we need to define.
Those are the ones, yeah.
And then we've got the unknowns, which were what can attract people to come here and bring in industry. So the question, I guess, is, with the unknown, is 100,000 the right number?
I think it needs to be higher, but, what's y'all's thoughts?
Well, for the industrial traction.
More time.
I'm saying for incentives for attracting industry, you know, not the smaller businesses, but the industry, that could be probably informed once we do the strategic community assessment for site selection. So that might have some recommendations on how to scale your incentive programs. So we might look to that, and then maybe do an amendment after that, so it's more timely.
Would it be better to set these incentive programs after we have all our studies done? And that way we know exactly what we're dealing with.
Although, I don't think our studies are gonna be done before the budget.
Right, yeah, well, that is,
That's the
the
problem.
budget will be done.
Our budget's gonna be done before the studies are done.
Well, I think we need a placeholder. I think we all can, we need, and even though there is a lot undefined here, we need to put an amount in there
Yeah.
that allows us to act without adding steps.
We need that study, for sure.
Yeah.
That study, we won't have that study done until the next year.
And again, and to this
Well,
amount.
for next year's budget.
Yeah, so.
And everybody is correct. I mean, yeah, this is not saying that we have to spend that 100 or 150 or whatever that number.
Yeah, no, it's a case of, you know, we've got it.
As needed.
We may not need it, but I'd rather have it than not need it.
I would too.
I
All
mean,
of a sudden, you know, we get something great, and we're going, well, where are we pulling that out of?
So what do y'all think? 100, does that need to be 150?
Let's do another, or 100, another 100. Do 200 there. If we don't use it, it's.
Not going anywhere. It's still happening.
Yeah, we'll still have it. If it's not there, we still have it. We can't, thank you, Marion, very much.
Thanks, Mary.
Quick question on the last one we had to do, this was the busy bee or the buzzy bee. How much was that?
150.
Yeah.
So we
So
just,
two,
we just approved that reimbursement, it's like 60 or 80 something thousand.
but the original was like 160, so.
It was a 300,000 originally, it's 150 to the city, 150 to the DEC.
So if we do 200 in that, that's gonna cover all of the, whatever, because we're gonna need to come up with what our business incentives are. We need to come up with that like right away, like immediately. We probably need to have a workshop on that or do it at the next board meeting. We need to come up with that. But the number, and I understand what Rachel was saying earlier, that, you know, get that study back, but that study isn't gonna help us now. That's next year, and we need the money now. So leave the facades at 150 and do, like I said, if you did 200 on the other, you're not, if you don't spend it, it's still gonna be there.
Yeah, I think we're all aligned on that. I'm okay with that because of that. I think everybody is aligned in the fact that, yes, we put that in there as a placeholder, we have it if we need it. But then let's put some real thought into defining what that money is gonna go toward. And if we're not going through those efforts, then that money will still be there. We're not gonna go recklessly do this.
I think 200 is just fine. Right now, we haven't had anything come in above that.
Yeah.
So that gives us a room to play with, to have
Yeah.
there in case we need it. And then after this, the next budget, then we can make sure budget, if we need to increase after the study, then we can increase.
And the good thing is, I think going on this direction, this is a first step. I think, again, we talked earlier about whether you want to say catch up. I think we're becoming much better at planning and about really setting some goals and teeth around each one of these subsets here. So I think coming around doing this a year from now, we're going to be much more informed of what that number needs to be.
So, everybody good then? Could we give a 200 guidance, Brett?
Yep.
Chuck?
Yes.
Rachel? Mike? That'll work. 200.
And then,
You need a motion?
No, because it's a workshop, so we don't have to have a motion, but because we'll have to approve the budget eventually, but, I say eventually, it's going to be in the next
next month.
month.
Yeah.
That's why I was saying but the stuff we're going over on this is just the high, that like that, we weren't even gonna go over. I just brought it up, but, the stuff that's not highlighted on there is stuff that's already there. So if y'all wanna change any of that, now's the time to look at it. The 150 on the facade grants,
Yeah.
are we good with that?
I'll go with that.
I'm good with that.
I think with all of these numbers, we're still looking at like it's not redefined yet. And so is it enough? Is it not enough? Is it only limited to a specific district or the city limits or the ETJ or the region, all those different things? So, I mean, it's a placeholder like Brent said, so let's leave it there because as far as previously, we were told that people didn't even know that there was a facade program. Nobody applied. I think we only had 2 applicants this last year. And I can think of one other one like the year before. So I don't think we need to go exceptionally high without definition of what it means. I think we need data and plans before we put a price tag on it.
Well, data and plans will put you off till 2026, just to look at.
No, I think if we,
I think 150.
I think 150 is fine, but we put more teeth into what we offer for that grant, I think, and then we get that information out there, I think we may have some more takers.
I agree.
Because let's say that numbers, and I'm just throwing it out there, if we're gonna match 20,000, and so we're matching 20,000, so they can spend 40,000 on the side, now you're talking a little bit better than what's 5. And 5's not, a lot of people aren't even gonna touch it for that, or 2,500 or whatever. Emilio, I have one question. Any more? Sorry.
Well,
No, if everybody did right now on the 150, and then on the next meeting, we need to start defining the 2 specific situations right this second. I mean, like now, like immediately, we need to define are the business incentives and the facades. There was another one. Those are the 2 main ones. We have to get those defined. So we need to come up with, and I've spoken with some other municipalities and counties on their grants that they're doing. But we need to get that defined on business incentives and how much reallocating our facades grant. Probably on the next meeting, we need to get that done. Don't you think, Emilio?
yes, I think next month is good to have the framework, actual text of the program. I'll try my best, but I don't know. And there'll be changes to it anyway, but depending on what happens during the discussion. But yes, we can do a workshop on incentive programs and the framework for those and what our staff recommendations and research are on that.
Well, is it unreasonable to have a rough draft in 2 weeks? I mean, if we're talking about having perhaps final draft by next month.
So would y'all want to do a workshop in 2 weeks? Is that what you're saying? And then,
Well, I'm just thinking, obviously, whatever plan, outline, whatever you want to call it, we come up with, obviously it's going to be amended. So I'm just wondering if a rough draft to start making changes is doable in 2 weeks' time.
yeah, we're going.
I mean, we keep saying we need a plan for it, and, all we're talking about is, okay, well, we've got to have it done by next month. Well, all right, can we start working on it and get a rough draft?
Well, I don't think that now, this is for the next budget year, so I don't think it has to be completed by next month.
Okay, all right,
But
okay.
what we do need to come up with collectively is a definition of our business incentives in general.
Right, yeah.
And then we know we already have a facade grant. Right now, our current facade grant of 5,000 obviously is gonna get increased. We need to know how much that is. And it's simple mathematics. Take 150 grand, divide it by X, you divide it by 25, that's only 6. That's all we got, 6. You divide it by 20, and so on and so on. It's simple mathematics. But, and then the same thing on the business incentives, we have to define those businesses, what type of incentives we are wanting to get money to, basically. Or we leave that open, and whoever comes to us, we make that decision as we go.
Case by case.
Yeah, case by case basis, one of the two. Rachel?
I was just going to offer a suggestion that we have a facade program, right? And so instead of creating something new or draft in 2 weeks, you know, and you're like, what? Like, just go, like, strike through some of the numbers and just change the numbers. The need of the facade grant, looking at the matching of the 5,000 versus maybe it's up to 15,000 or whatever it might be through discussion, and whether or not it's city limits only or extends beyond that. So I think we can take what we have and make edits to create something that would meet the need of this improved facade grant, would be my suggestion.
Well, and I think that's exactly what we need to do. Now, the other thing we should look at is other municipalities. What they do is their downtown area, their most viewed area, their most trafficked area, they'll have a difference, a different amount offered for that area versus outside that immediacy. In other words, you'll have a percentage that they'll match for the main area versus, a mile away. And I don't know if that's something we ought to look at. I'm guessing you're agreeing with that we need to look at that. And I say that, but it's the most viewed area. I know everybody says that they do that for their downtown district, but if your downtown district is not the most traveled on street, then you might want to concentrate on that most traveled on street.
Well, the reason why most places do the downtown area is because it's the heart of the town.
Correct.
And that's where most of the residents themselves come through, and then when you bring businesses in, that's the area that most people come because that's the most historic part of the area.
Absolutely.
So
Yep.
that's the reason why a lot of them do that. But I would kind of should look at on the incentive part of it. On that, is it going to be, this is, I guess, what you're going to be working on, are we going to have certain areas defined that we really want to push businesses to develop? Or is that going to be something you want to wait to do until after you get the reports and all that stuff done?
A little chicken and egg. I think identifying like eligible types of, typically like with incentive programs, like maybe not defining geographies, but at least certain types of facilities like manufacturing, office, research development, like those types of things. Maybe not defining where those go. We can look at that and we'll do the research and see what other cities are doing in that regards. But typically, and again, a lot of incentives have to do with the city's taxing authority. Looking at our kind of financial state, I think we probably want to do less of that and see what how the EDC can step in and facilitate some of that, because I know the city kind of suffers right now from revenue, property tax revenue, and anything we do with sales tax kind of impacts our future revenue. So, but we'll look at everything holistically, but usually by facility type, probably before we start looking at specific geographies for the more industrial type incentives. Redevelopment types of incentives, yeah, are definitely prioritize geographies, certain ones over others, for sure.
Yeah, as far as geography, I think when you look at your downtown, but then the whole Washington, Houston corridor as well.
Yeah.
So those are your main thoroughfares through town, and you need to be, those are your priority areas, downtown and your Houston and Washington. Those areas.
So we're good for leaving that for 150 for now? Yep.
Yes.
Well, Mr. President, that concludes the budget.
Well, I have one question.
Oh, yes, sir.
One question, and I think Scott answered it earlier. I asked him earlier in his office. I just want to make sure. You know, the last line item here, of course, is the industrial recruitment area. You know, that's where we're talking with the industrial folks. Is it in marketing that where we're engaging in retail?
No, it's in,
Because I know.
it's in target analysis.
Okay, target
And that
analysis.
is in professional services.
Okay. I just want to make sure it's in there. I know we very specifically were talking about engaging both an industrial
Other services.
assessment and recruiter and retail. Because I know everybody on this board, we get asked about retail just as much as anything about what's coming to the city. So I think we just got to make sure that we have our place in here for that.
Yes, sir. It's under other services.
Okay.
Mary, did you have, while we're on this item, did you have updated information?
Oh, I just printed out a calendar.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Hey, I'll take one.
I do have one question, and
Yes, sir.
this is not with, it's on the budget, but I just want to make sure that we're okay with it. But on the financial obligations, I see that we're at 93%, almost 94% of our budget. Are we going to increase that?
These are fixed costs based on the debt that the EDC has issued in the past.
You make two payments a year for your bond payment. One of them is just principal.
Okay.
One of them is principal and interest, and the other is just interest.
Okay.
So,
I just want to double check on that.
I think
Get
the
clarification.
one that we paid so far is principal and interest. I think one is left is just interest.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a.
Yeah,
That's-
I know, I see, that's why I just wanted to.
It's amortized for us.
Yes, that's why I wanted to double check, because I just want to make sure it wasn't something that needs to be increased.
Yeah, it's just one of the, on the library fencing project, we'll have to clarify, I don't know, we don't have funding in the project, we've already spent that money, to cover that project. And so that may be one of those that we're gonna have to do a hearing and do the budget amendments and everything else. And if that's the case, it may just be easier for your budget and have to go out for that purpose. So we'll look and see, but
I bet under, let me get there. And I know everybody sitting over there wants to say things without it being on the mic, but it's very hard for a city secretary to take minutes when y'all do not come up to the mic. Not mentioning any names, Scott Swagger and Daniel and Roger.
Maybe for future EDC meetings, we need to move the podium over there.
Well, in the future, hopefully, and I haven't got an did we get an update yet on our
AV?
new AV system? But our new AV system, we're gonna have
well, that's one thing we've already talked about.
Portable mic.
Possibly move the podium over here.
Yeah.
Once this screen goes over there,
Yeah.
the screens are back and forth, because everybody's using it.
well, we'll have a cordless mic also.
I was gonna say, wouldn't it be easier to have a mic, couple of mics set up at those tables, so that way
It would be a lot easier. And we'll have a cordless mic for that too, but,
Roger's over there shaking his head, no,
I do appreciate what Alice does for us and Juanita for sure. Juanita puts in the time and effort for us. But if y'all will please start coming up to the mic, I hate to be that guy, but then I gotta hear about it from them. I'm going, oh, we keep trying to do that. Not that I'm in the middle or anything, guys. So, Scott, I think that we had that under do you have that list of projects, Scott?
Under the capital outlay, we've got You got projects, gateway signs, murals, and WB water line for this year.
We have park and playground expansions, airport land opportunities, expansions and improvements. Under park and playground expansions, couldn't we put it under there and not have to go through all the other hearings? As Brent just said, go through, instead of going, can't we get it underneath there instead of going through all the other hearings?
Well, like, there was
Again, we have to go through hearings, we're gonna be 6 months down the road.
well, this is, yeah, I mean, the projects, there was 74,000, we already spent over 50,000 for that, so.
Well, but all we're gonna have to do is a amendment. If we do an amendment, but still keep it under park,
Let's get clarification, because if it's a project, then you have to, if it's a new one or wasn't budgeted, you have to go through that process.
Yeah, because the public hearing we had at the beginning of this fiscal year, the projects that were listed on there weren't specific in nature, and I think that's the question. Can it
but I
pass?
think they were intentionally not
Yes, that
specific
was,
in
that,
nature.
that was the direction that we got at the time,
Yeah, they weren't.
that was doable, so that's the question. You know, I mean, so if we can get some clarification on that to where, with a budget amendment, we can do this without the, you know,
Hearing.
the hearings, to hold that up 2 months, then it's something we should look at.
So if you check on that, would be great, if we could get that done. That's gonna make Mary a lot happier quickly.
She just gave 2 thumbs up. Because that's how we operated on some
Help
of
us
the
out,
other
Tim.
projects that
Come
we
up with something.
funded was based on.
Well, I don't want to say for certain because I need to speak with Pam, but I'm pretty sure you can transfer money from one line item to another.
Yes.
You rock, Tiffany, I don't care what's cost.
Yeah. One line item, yeah.
I think everybody on this
Should be
board
done.
would like to see that happen instead of having to wait this thing out for another 4 or 6 months.
Agreed.
Mike, did you get your question answered?
Yes.
Unless there's any other questions, that concludes my presentation.
I do appreciate,
Did everybody-
Emilio, at the end, you have the end.
Did everybody go through that? Everybody kind of get their questions answered? Scott, you're breaking this out for me, I see, on the legal fees.
And that's not on the agenda, Mr. Chair.
Just a comment. I think that's everything. If anybody else has anything else? All good? I got a motion to adjourn?
Real quick.
Oh, wait.
Real quick, I just talked to Emilio, the bylaws and the frequently asked questions that we discussed earlier, Emilio's gonna send all that to us digitally too. I asked him, because again, that way we have it at the ready and don't have to carry the paper.
And we do have to redo the bylaws. I know
It's coming up.
yep, it's coming up. We talked about that. We've talked about that actually a couple of times recently. And I think what we're gonna do is try to do a section at a time. And Brent and I have agreed that we will meet with Emilio and Scott and try to get some recommendations on set before we have to all consume a bunch of time here. And I think we'll get started on that here, obviously, pretty quickly. Basically, with consensus, right, Brent?
Yeah. These were created 22 years ago.
22 years ago. Probably like off the side.
And you're exactly right.
Anything else? Everybody good? Motion to adjourn?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
I got a motion to adjourn by Anya, second by Brett. All in favor?
Mike.
Mike, I'm sorry, all in favor? Mike, second by Mike Buckley, all in favor?
Oh, I'm sorry, you almost said.
Adjourned.
Yeah, I definitely want a copy, bro.
You broke it.